Hey, we've got the topic you've been waiting for now all 872 episodes. We're going to finally talk about anxiety. That's right, anxiety. Like the number one thing that most of us deal with as we build our businesses or become better leaders. We're going to talk today about when it shows up. All that and more is coming up shortly on today's edition of Today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for Today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Although I'm in like a fog, I feel like today. I don't know.
You're a little distracted, I gotta say.
Well, and my screen is a little, I don't know.
I know you're not your usual chipper self.
I don't like the way my screen looks. So
folks, before the program, usually Tom cares about me and my whole life, and I tell him what's going on. And today he was all distracted with his own stuff, and I just don't have time for him to be worried about his own stuff. That's me time.
Fair. My apologies.
It's okay. I'll power through.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
I do what I can.
Yeah, and I just don't know what's going on with my screen, which is
it looks like you're sort of going through a little Wayne's World kind of thing.
Oh, it's weird, very weird. Anyhow, let's not. For the people on the podcast, they don't care.
It could be that to other people they don't care.
Well, that's pretty likely, I would imagine. So it's time we probably move on and say good morning to everyone and welcome, or good afternoon if you're listening to this later, or evening, and welcome to today's Antidote. Each week, Bob and I pick a topic. This week's topic I was a little anxious about, a little worried about how it might look. And each day of the week, weekday, we dive into that topic a little deeper. And today, as Bob mentioned, we're going to talk about when anxiety shows up. And as we go through that conversation, if you have any thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to put them in the comments, because we know that'll add value to the show. And it's always interesting to see what you're thinking about and how your value can add to the show. At the conclusion of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that thing that we hope will help you figure out how to keep moving forward when maybe anxiety has got you down or got you stuck and uncertain, or maybe feeling a little less confident, to help you move forward. Take that next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have a one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to share that value. It might be the one thing that somebody desperately needs. And maybe people have been telling them this all along. They just haven't heard it. And the way that you share it allows them to understand it differently. So please feel free to share your value. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm celebrating the fact that I was able to make a chocolate flourless cake on Saturday. So I've been buying pieces of this from a local restaurant for on and off for a year, just because it's a special treat for someone and for me. And they don't make it over the summer. And on Saturday, I thought, I wonder if I could do this. So I found a recipe and I took some time and I figured out how to make a flourless chocolate cake. And it tasted really good. I was very surprised. It was very rich. It was chocolatey. So
why were you surprised? Were you worried about it?
Well, I had to buy a lot of the things that go with it. I was a little anxious. It was an important event that I was trying to get it ready for. It was important to someone else. And I just thought that it might not work out the way I had planned. And I would have spent my Saturday afternoon buying stuff that I typically don't buy, using pans I don't usually use. Like I had to make sure I had the right circular pan to do it in, and the oven. I mean, there's a lot of logistics to it.
Fair enough.
The penthouse is more of a bachelor pad. So the cooking aspects of it not always there. Like the measuring cups, I had to actually buy a measuring cup. Yeah. So
one or multiple?
I bought one.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. And there are some staples that you normally have when you do baking that I didn't have.
Baking powder.
Unsalted butter was one of them.
Oh.
Didn't have that. I had salted butter, but not unsalted butter.
Interesting.
And vanilla extract, which, wow, we should just quit our jobs and go into the vanilla extract market because that is really expensive stuff. Boy.
Well, that's an interesting conclusion to come to when you probably know nothing about what does it take to create vanilla extract. And that's why it's as expensive as it is.
I know. It's not as bad as bay leaves. That's the best one. Have you ever bought bay leaves?
No.
They weigh like 1/18 of an ounce and you pay like $9.
Those are, yeah. I hope they're good and they have a nice spice to something.
So Missy says, I make it all the time. Vanilla pods and vodka. Ooh.
You could add a little vodka to your flourless chocolate cake. Might have made the occasion even more interesting.
The red wine went really well with it.
How would red wine go with the vodka?
And some maraschino cherries.
Oh, interesting. Were the cherries in the cake? On the cake?
They were a garnish to make it look attractive.
Look at you going with garnish.
It's romantic dinner night.
Fair enough. Good for you.
And then because I don't know what a romantic dinner should look like, I did what any person of my age group would do, trying to make a romantic dinner look romantic. I followed the Friends script and got some roses and put petals on the dining room table. Candles. Oh, and I did buy little candles.
Look at you.
Candles.
Nice.
Yes. So I'm celebrating the fact that I got through that. And it was very nice. It was really nice.
Good for you. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a good celebration.
How about you?
I am celebrating that that I actually we had a couple of lacrosse tournaments going on this weekend, and the weather around here was a little uncertain,
to say the least.
And the one that I was at and most responsible for, we avoided all of that altogether. Although Saturday was brutally hot and humid, and I only did one game and felt like I had done about 5. So I'm celebrating the fact that we actually made it through my one little tournament with no weather-related changes, cancellations, etc. And actually, the other tournament that I was involved in survived some lightning delays and some rain and some of those other things. So
you did better than NASCAR in Atlanta. They had to stop the race last night.
Oh, really?
Yes. They had weather come in and they stopped the race, and that was it.
Well, we had a funny. So they, all this goes into when you've got 12 fields with tons of teams and lots of people involved in trying to make it all work. And Missy was actually there. She was dealing with this as well. And
who?
Missy.
Oh, she says 4 delays here. She also clarifies for us that buy the pods, the vanilla pods on Amazon and steep for 4 months. You're welcome. So I guess I can make my own vanilla extract now.
Now you can do that. There you go.
I love this program. The things I learn on this program.
So they had one. They sent us out for a delay. They sent out a note like, okay, we're going to start at, with all the information about how things are going to proceed. Walked back into the facility because, of course, we had to go to our cars. And literally, I thought they were blowing the horn to start the next round of games. Nope. It was the automatic lightning back out to the parking lot in our cars. And what was fascinating, at least at the site that I was at, never got rain. not once. And really never, I don't think I ever saw lightning. So it was a fascinating.
It was around though.
Oh, there was no doubt it was around, and you could hear the rumbling thunder and all of that. So it was just one of those things when you sit around and you're supposed to go to your car, and everybody's standing outside their car, chatting and doing whatever, only to turn around and go back in. So that was my celebration.
I should also note, I saw in the news this morning that the Hudson Valley had some really big flooding overnight. And I know we have at least one listener up in the Hudson Valley area. So thoughts with you, Jack, and all your family and friends. Hope everyone's safe up there.
I know there was lots of weather-related issues across the country. So,
indeed. All right.
I'm getting a little anxious that we should jump into our topic.
You're going to wear that one out. So when does anxiety show up? This is going to be the shortest answer I've ever given, Tom.
You want to start timing?
Constantly. There it is. Okay.
So we're done.
So if you have a comment, you can put it in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.-ish. And that's it for this episode. On we go.
Okay. So can we dive into that a little bit more? Are there certain things that it tends to show up around? Or just your life in general?
No, it's a good question. When my calendar's too busy, when it's not busy enough.
Because you like that.
When it's too busy, when it's not busy enough, at near the end of the month when bills are due, or on the 10th of the month when a credit card bill of mine is due, usually causes some anxiety. So I have a little bit of anxiety this morning. When else? I think it used to show up when I would talk to people about the pricing of what I do, but I think that's dissipated somewhat. And at times it shows up when I'm at a networking event and people are going around doing their little presentation about who and what they are, and I want to be a little different, and I'm not sure if being a little different will fly in that room. Those are the highlights. And when I wear my pink shirt. But that's a whole nother story.
That was not
kind of bold. When you're 6'6" and you wear a pink shirt, it's really a statement.
I don't know. I have like I don't even know what you would call it. I wear it on the show sometimes. A fuchsia shirt?
Fuchsia. I think it's fuchsia.
But many people call it pink. And I get a lot of comments about that.
Okay, there you go.
A lot of feedback on that shirt.
So how about you? You have no anxiety, right? None whatsoever.
Never shows up, no.
Okay.
Well, I think, yeah.
This is the chance, by the way, Tom, we've been talking about this. This is a chance for you to give a little personal detail and share with us some of the inner Tom Brush.
Some of the inner Tom Brush. Well, I'll give away my secrets. No, I mean, I think we all get anxious about certain things. I think for me,
the other thing that causes me anxiety is when I see what's on our screen now. So let me go figure that out while you do your thing.
Interesting. I think the thing for me is, and I think oftentimes it shows up sometimes when things are out of our control and we feel the need to try to control them. And knowing that the only way they're going to be controlled is by the actions of others. So for me, I usually get anxious at about 7:50 on the weekends a.m. because a tournament starts at 8, and a couple of people haven't showed up just yet, so that always makes me a little anxious. And I think that when there are things that matter, I think is one of the other times that it shows up. You want to make sure that that things work out the way that you want to, even though we can't control it. And I think one of the reasons that I get a little less anxious is my understanding of so much of this is out of our control. And so I think that's something that I've tried to work through Because clearly I've had tons of anxiety before. I think anytime you give a presentation, there's always a little anxiety. Anytime you have an important meeting, there's always a little bit of like, what's going to happen and how can I control what the results are going to look like. And I think part of the other thing I think that causes me anxiety is when I know others are waiting for information and I'm trying to provide it. Like part of the reason we were a little delayed this morning is I was trying to get a note out because I've been having some challenges putting this one schedule together in the midst of a number of other things for lacrosse. And I know that people are waiting to see what the schedule is going to look like so they can make their plans. And that causes me some anxiety when I just feel like I can't get it to the point I need to get it to send it out. And I know that there are others waiting on it. And so I think that's probably when anxiety shows up the most for me, is when I know that I'm holding others up, or at least I believe that I'm holding others up. They may not be as concerned about it as I am at the moment, or maybe a couple of them are. And yet I still feel like I'm not providing what I want to provide in the time that I want to provide it. I think those are some of the key things for me. And sometimes it's a little bit looking forward. Look at, okay, I've got something coming up on Wednesday that I know of, and I've got some things, again, that are out of my control, and they're a little uncertain. And so I've got to figure out how to manage all of that.
Michael joins in this morning. Anxiety. It is the master of suspense that loves to keep you on your toes, even if those toes are tapping nervously and making a catchy rhythm. Smile. And as to your other comment, Michael, it's already done. Taken care of. Having a little spamming issue in the comments today that we're trying to resolve.
It's funny that we drew that attention that people want to come here and spam us.
What's that?
It's interesting that we would draw that attention, that someone would say, I think that they must have a huge audience. And so if I get in there and put my spam in, it'll have an impact. It's good to know the person is correct.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think one of the things when you talk about anxiety, as you were going through it occurred to me that all that's based on what other people are thinking of us. Right? You were talking about getting something done for someone else because you were concerned about them. I was talking about how people react to my elevator pitch. It's all about how we perceive other people perceiving us. I don't have anxiety around things I do for me. I had anxiety around the chocolate flourless cake because of the person I was making it for.
Right. If you're just making it for yourself.
If I was making it for itself, it could have been a complete burn and be like, oh, well, I wasted $9 and all that vanilla extract. Big deal. Now the kitchen smells really bad, but I've got a measuring cup. And I think that's the interesting thing. I never really thought about anxiety as it's really about the other person or other people.
Well, I think there is results. You don't think you have anxiety around things that you're doing?
But that's people judging me, right? If I get up on a stage, I have anxiety when I get up on the stage because I'm worried about what are they going to think of this tall, dorky guy? What are they going to think about what I have to say? Are they going to clap at the end? Is the person who invited me to speak to this group really going to be happy that they made that selection? I never have anxiety around, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? That part of anxiety, I think, goes away pretty quickly. And so I really never made the correlation between the fact that anxiety really is about other people's perception of us. So to take it to the next level, to advocate what you would typically advocate, you would say we can't manage results. Ergo, yes, I'm going to use an old people word. Ergo, we can't manage what people say about us or think about us. Therefore, we shouldn't worry about it, and therefore there's no reason to have anxiety.
Well, I think there's an opportunity to have less. If we can start to take that concept into consideration. I think, again, I think the other thing is, if we don't find value in whatever the outcome is, we're less worried about it. You know, again, whether that's for yourself or whether it's even for others, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and whatever happens, happens. I think you can be less anxious about it, right?
Well, think of the program. You and I had a day. I don't know if you remembered or thought about it as much as I did. There was a day where we kind of decided we were going to do this program for ourselves. First couple months, we were worried about how people reacted. And what about this? What about this? I remember one day we just talked about it. It's like, let's just do this for ourselves. If we enjoy it, we'll get the value. I really have taken that to heart. That changed everything for me. Yes, I love the positive comments. Don't get me wrong.
We know that.
But at the same time, I know that this has a value for you and me. The clarification I just got in my own head now about what anxiety is brought on by is huge to me. So I got my value out of the program. I don't care if anyone does. I really don't. And I'm sorry about that, Baba Awan Bengali. If you didn't get value out of it, I apologize to you, because your spam is really annoying.
I think you have some anxiety around the spam that you can't control.
No, I just find it frustrating. That's all. But you're right. It's a sign that we're so major that people think that, we have a huge audience. And yes, I should take that as positive affirmation.
Yes.
So do you have your one thing?
I'm formulating it.
Okay. I think mine's what I've said twice already. Anxiety really is about how we think of other people perceiving us and our actions and our words. And if we're sharing our value, that shouldn't matter. Now, I think I get it. That's totally idealistic. I'm not. If we think about it, though, it can shift our thinking. Am I providing value? Do I believe what I have to say is valuable? Yes, I do in this program. If someone says, hey, I hate the program. Okay, fine. Go. It's 7:43 a.m. on a Monday. There's plenty of other programming. TikTok's full of it. Instagram has it. YouTube has it. TV has it. Netflix has it. Amazon Prime has it. Hulu has it. There's plenty of programming out there for you if you don't like what we have to offer. Right?
I know you probably don't necessarily believe this. So what I've thought about the show all along.
I have come to it. So someone said to me last week that it was interesting, because someone that's not super close to me, but they said to me, you really worry about other people, what other people think about you. And it was an observation that this person's only been around me a handful of times, and they've seen this program. And it was a very powerful statement to me, like, whoa. One, like, this person's really watching me closely. And two, I said, yeah, I always have. It's important to me how people see me. The lesson from it, though, was that's what drives my anxiety, is my worry about what other people think about me. And the people I see who are most successful with their businesses or as leaders have a moral compass. They kind of have a vision for what they're doing, and they don't seem to be deterred by, it's crazy. People are going to think you're crazy if you do that. I mean, imagine when Starbucks started, I forget the guy's name, and they're like, yeah, we're going to charge 3 times what the gas station charges for coffee. And we're going to have jazz music playing, and we're going to put one of these everywhere. And the people are like, yeah, okay, sure, right. Because people want to drop $5 for coffee.
Turns out they do.
And they did. And think of Southwest Airlines. Hey, we're not going to assign seats. First come, first serve.
Here's some help for you.
Howard Schultz. Thank you, Missy. I knew it was Howard. I could not remember his last name. Thank you. And those people, there you go, Missy. Missy's teaching the marketing course I used to teach. She flipped the category to create an experience. But imagine how many people said, people just want their coffee, dude. They just want to go to work. They don't want to sit and have an experience. They're not going to sit in a coffee shop and talk about their work. They're not going to be working from home and sneak out for 4 hours to go to the Starbucks because they can't stand their house anymore. And I think those people get over the anxiety, right? I'm sure he had anxiety, but he still pressed on.
Well, and I think that goes back to, I mean, it's funny. I think that even people without anxiety care about how others see them. I care about how others see me. And yet I don't feel like I'm anxious about it. Just feel like
it doesn't cause you to change your actions.
No. And I think that is something that has been with me for a long time for whatever reason. It's like
my actions can be affected by those around me.
Yeah, which is understandable, and you're not alone. There's a lot of people like that, and I think it takes some effort to do it. You know, I think about it as I go back through the things that I did that I was like, I really don't. This is what I believe is real for me. I didn't understand that language at the time, and that's the way that I want to show up. If others don't like it, okay, but nothing I can do about that. And I think that was something that I got very comfortable with very early for some reason. I don't know why. Probably could go back and figure it out, or maybe learn more about it. And I think that's part of it is, you know, if we feel we have value and we share it, what's there really to be anxious about? You know, you do. You know, I feel like I'm at the point. I get rarely anxious about higher level college games doing lacrosse. I get a little bit, or higher, more people that I'm speaking to when I'm doing work in a presentation or a facilitation. And I guess maybe because there's more people who might have feedback. When it's the individual person, or it's, you know, the person on the sideline at a game who yells some silly comment. I don't worry about that anymore. I'm actually like, whatever, say what you want. You know, I believe in the value that I have to share. And I think that belief has allowed me to be less anxious about things. Good, bad, right, wrong, you know, those words that I choose not to use, it doesn't impact me. And I think that I'm able to go out and do it. Doesn't mean I'm not anxious. Because I clearly get anxious at times. And I think it has allowed me to have less anxiety going forward. And I think that's part of it, you know, is that if you try to not use an adjective, this might be my one thing, to describe a lot of things, you can be a lot less anxious. Because you're not saying this is the biggest game ever, or this is the most important meeting, or this is a critical presentation that I have to do. Those words in and of itself create the value that we place on it. And I think the higher we feel the value is, or the more risk there is that's involved with it, the more likely it is that we're going to be anxious about it. And I think that's it's not easy to do. And yet I think that, you know, for those who are having a lot of anxiety, it might be one way to try to deal with it is focus less on your adjectives so that you don't talk yourself into the importance of something. Does that make any sense?
Yes. Made a lot of sense. Well, Tom, I think we covered the when it shows up and a whole lot more in this episode.
Yes, I think you are correct. All right, everyone, if you have your one thing, please feel free to share it because we know that it'll add value to the show. And who knows, when you share it, you might be like Bob and come to a realization like, that clears some things up for me. Maybe something that I can do a little bit differently. So please feel free to share your value because you might help someone else and you might just think of it in a way that you never thought of it before. And imagine what that might do for you, your business, or your work. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast and you can't share your commenting, unfortunately, please join us inside our Facebook group. Sculpt Your Business from Chaos and Confusion to Confidence and Control, where you can share your thoughts and ideas around topics like anxiety and gain from the value that others people share as well. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, whatever you do today on this beautiful Monday, embrace the renegading you. It's so worth it.
That was an interesting emphasis that you put on it. All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. We'll see you soon.
Hey, I forgot I had to do one of these. Sculpt Your Business. That's right. Sculpt Your Business goes from chaos and confusion to confidence and control. More information is at therenegadesuccessnetwork.com. Don't delay. Go there today.